Easy.
Yes, it is, my friends. And today's program is brought to you by Diane Meyer. She's keeping me alive. Program is brought to you by Diane Meyer. She's keeping me alive. Do you guys hear that echo? Okay, yes, this program today is sponsored by and brought to you by Diane Meyer. She's keeping me alive and hydrated. She left this to me in the mail. If you all want to be sponsors, just sign up today. There is no such thing, but anyways, here we are. Friends, we are going higher today.
Higher.
Brought to you by the Nettie and Nellie sandwiches. We are serving you Nettie and Nellie sandwiches today. She's Nellie, I'm Nettie. Come on, we're gonna feast. Oh, and
Sarah,
also,
let me quote you.
Okay, Sarah, let me quote you is here. She has words of life for you. Okay, you know that she is a modern day Mark Twain. Okay, so it's like Mark Twain resurrected from the dead in woman. So what Sarah does, we discovered this on Sunday. We went out to lunch together.
I already knew.
You already knew. Well, you did tell me too. But we went out to lunch and we're just saying, you know, all these things, right? And Sarah just like, she takes what we say and she reformulates it and then she comes out with a new thing, you know, and she says the same thing, but it's way better.
She's very quotable.
Yeah. So we came up with this new name for her. It's Sarah, let me quote you.
Because her name's Sarah Lemmy.
Yeah. See, she's here today. Wave, Sarah.
Wave, okay. Sarah. Feel free to quote. Make a quote for us all.
Yeah, just interject whenever you could have said it better. Which is probably going to be the entire hour and a half. She can say everything. So
she like takes her hour and a half and puts it in one sentence. And she's like, here you go.
Here, we could have done this in 2 minutes. This is why everyone needs a friend like Sarah. Let me quote you. Hold on. Let's go to this one. Okay, so today's topic is a big one, but it's so easy. What you doing, my friend?
I'm trying to mute.
Okay. I wanted to focus on Psalm 139, one of the passages from Psalm 139, and you'll know why in a minute. Miss Melly right here is going to read it to you.
Okay.
Is it Psalm 139 verse?
139, 17 through 18. Every single moment you are thinking of me. Ooh. How precious and wonderful to consider that you cherish me constantly in your every thought. Oh God, your desires towards me are more than the grains of sand on every shore. When I wake each morning, you're still with me. So one day when I was in Orange County just recently with a friend, Janine, we needed a refreshment. You know, we were just kind of like feeling like we needed something from the Lord. So she had this brilliant idea and she goes, let's just go to the beach, you know, let's go sit on the beach. And she's a surfer, so she loves it out there. Her and her husband used to own a company where they made surfboards, and before moving up here to Redding. And so we go and we're on the beach, we're sitting there, we take off our shoes, and all of a sudden God just told me, he goes, I want you to make a castle out of my thoughts for you. And I was like, and Psalm 139 came to my mind, you know, because his thoughts towards you outnumber the grains of sand. Okay, that, I mean, is God obsessed with us or what? If that's not an obsession, I don't know what is, my friends. He is obsessed with you. But if you think of it, if you read the rest of Psalm 139, it says that he wove you together, all the intricate details that you are, he wove it together inside of your mother's womb. And can you imagine, like when you're doing an art piece or you're painting a painting, we did this yesterday, we painted portals yesterday together. We'll talk about that later. But when you're doing something and you're all intertwined into the making of something, you actually fall in love with this piece of art. And somebody comes along and they just like barely notice it. And you're just like, oh, wait a minute, you better stop right there. Come back here. Look at this piece of artwork that I created. I mean, you never say that out loud, but inside your head, you're going, whoa, get back here. And you better say something positive about what you're seeing, right? So anyways, this was what we were doing. We were just on the beach, amazed that God's thoughts for us outnumbered the sand in the entire world. We were just at Newport Beach. That's just one beach of the world. But this is how obsessed God is with you. This is how beautiful he thinks you are. This is how perfect he thinks you are. He's got thoughts for you that will go on for 1 trillion years. Because that's how much he loves his creation. And he loves you as if you were his only child. God is so big that he can treat you like you're the only one. You're an only child. Isn't that amazing that God can do that? No, this is just how big the Father's heart is for us and
towards us, and about just, he loves us that much. And so whenever you feel lonely or you're having a bad day, go make a sandcastle out of his thoughts. And I'm telling you, you're going to just rise a little higher in your own thinking of who you are. And you're going to get an upgrade. You're going to get an upgrade in your life when you just shift. When you bring God into the conversation, things always shift. And that's how simple it is. It's so simple when something is feeling scary or something you don't know how to fix, or you don't know how to relate to someone. He's going, just bring me into the conversation. Just bring me in there.
Yeah, like when Chuck Perry says, oh, but you're here.
Yeah, because like in the healing rooms, we see all these impossible situations. People have come in to the healing rooms laying on their hospital bed before. And that seems like a mountain for the prayer team. We're just like, oh, it kind of seems scary. Like, oh, we haven't seen this before. Someone being wheeled in on their bed, and it can seem so overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And so this is what we do. We like shift our thinking the Chuck Perry way. Oh, but Jesus is right here. That's awesome, huh? When you just shift your thinking, just shift your thinking back to, oh, but God can handle it. His thoughts for me outnumber the grains of sand on the entire earth. Oh, but he has a thought about that. He has a solution about that, So I also wanted to just give you a few examples of how easy this is. And we will open it up for discussion. You guys can tell us your testimony. Perhaps Sarah, let me quote you. We'll have an awesome quote. No pressure though, Sarah.
She thrives. She thrives under pressure.
She is a driver. Yeah. But there was a moment when we first came to Bethel. We moved to Redding in 2014, and I was in the worship center. It was our very first time at the church after moving here, and I looked around and I was just like, wow, everyone is so lavish in their honor and love for God. Mm-hmm. Like they express it during worship service. We experienced that on Sunday. Again.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. The Sunday service, if you haven't seen it yet, I did post it in the Great Arising group. We never did get to the speaker. We were just worshiping the Lord the whole time. Anyway, so I looked around and I was like, I am not used to this. I'm not used to, everyone just expressing their love for God, and part of that comes from knowing his love for us, right? And I didn't know it at the time, but I had barely scratched the surface. Studying the word of God for 25 years in my life, I had barely scratched the surface of the love of the Father for me, let alone operating in love back towards him. I had barely scratched the surface. So I did what I only know how to do. I involved God in the conversation. I was like, instead of sitting there wondering, why am I not like them? Why can't I lift my hands? Why can't I be lavish in my love back towards him? And God, I just asked God. I said, why? And he goes, I'm going to show you something. He goes, look at the dancer that's on stage. And I didn't know how I felt at that time about dancers and worship, and I just didn't know what I felt about it. And I turned and I looked at her, and she was doing these motions of taking off a straitjacket. It was like she was in something and she was taking off this jacket, and then all of a sudden she jumps up and she just starts twirling around, free as a bird, dancing in her worship towards the Lord. And in that moment, I was free, and I didn't have to study anything. I didn't have to toil, and I didn't have to work to get to their level of worship or what. In a moment, I was free. The girl on stage dancing showed me what freedom looked like. She showed me, first of all, what the problem was. I was in a straitjacket of religion. I was in this thinking of, oh, it's just my personality. I don't show love like that. But here there are 900 other people showing their love to the Lord. I'm the only one in the room that has that personality problem. Just laugh at that, right? So the dancer she gave me a different option or a different perception. She changed my view of myself and of who God is. He is worthy of all just lavish love, right? And I was in a straitjacket of religion and thinking that this is just my personality. This is my Enneagram. This is my whatever else we can come up with, the personality test. Well, I'm this. So I obviously, I've got to work on this because I need to be this. And, we work on ourselves to become fix-it foxes for each other and for ourselves. And we're just on this, what is a gerbil wheel going nowhere. We are not gerbils, my friends. Okay. So I wanted to also just encourage you all to let God be obsessed with you and let him love you lavishly. This is what Mary did right. Martha was working for his love. She was like, oh man, I got to get this right. And she wasn't doing anything wrong, but God knew her perception. Her perception and her thinking was, I've got to make everything perfect so Jesus will love me. And so everything will work out. But Mary was sitting there receiving love from Jesus. She was just sitting at his feet underneath him. And she didn't have to work for it. She was just enjoying it. She was enjoying his presence. And so when we get to that place where we're just enjoying him, that's when we receive his thoughts towards us, and we begin looking or thinking the same way he thinks. We start acting from the same perception as him. We start seeing people through his eyes instead of our own eyes. You know, when we're working for God's love, we expect others to work for his love, right? When we're like, oh man, I got to do better. I got to clean up my act. I got to change my personality. I got to fix this problem. We expect others to do that too. But what if we just show people the treasure that's already in them, and we bring it out and we put it right there in front of them and we say, look at this, look how beautiful you are. And they start receiving from God's opinion rather than the world's system, the low life world system that is telling them who they are.